Hello, my name is Jonathan Koch, and I'm a research entomologist with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and today I'll be speaking to the subject of moving data from the field to the world. The explosion of biological data in the 21st century is enhanced by our literacy of global change and its impact on biodiversity, thereby increasing our urgency to conduct scientific investigations. In fact, there has been growth in the number of professionals attempting to assess pollinator diversity, as well as the development of new technology to document pollinator activity, as well as new RFPs designed to support research proposals that aim to include pollinator survey initiatives. In fact, in a recent study, we found that published studies using diverse trapping methods have increased substantially over the last 20 years. Across the different studies, we learned that thousands of bees have been removed. However, we also determined in our literature review that most studies do not report the deposition of specimens and data associations. How we choose to deliver bee data can thus have consequential positive impact on our stakeholders, including the land managers and policymakers. Alternatively, it can also lead to consequential chaos and redundancy in research. For the remainder of my presentation, I will identify a framework to achieve improved data management, reduce data loss, increase data transparency, and speed up global data delivery. I will also present ArcGIS Survey123 as a technology example that supports this proposed framework. Communication between the PI and different stakeholders should happen well before the project is initiated to identify a clear objective and pathway of the data. As a PI, we need to identify the reporting requirements of the data being collected, the funding requirements of the data being collected, your employer's requirements of the data being collected, and equally important, an intentional conversation with the data manager. These well-intentioned conversations must happen well before data is collected and even prior to when research proposals are submitted. Effective communication across these different entities will support a pathway of the data. A generalized pathway is presented on this slide, starting with getting a handle on the metadata being collected and ultimately cascading to global data delivery. One way to achieve this pathway includes using a digital notebook like ArcGIS Survey123. This technology supports the digitization of data in the field. It was developed by ESRI as a simple and intuitive form-centric data gathering solution. With support from the USDA, I was fortunate to beta test this technology with my field crew last year. In our experience, we thought Survey123 may be a good solution to several of our field collection problems. For example, when we have to deal with field notebooks, we normally encounter illegible handwriting, lost data entries, misplaced documents, and mislabeled samples. When we return to the lab from the field, we can also encounter mislabeled and misplaced samples, which ultimately cascade to lost labor and lost funds. However, with a digital notebook like Survey123, we can directly digitize data and label data specimens in the field to reduce data loss. The benefits of the electronic notebook, such as Survey123, allows for flexibility in the data entry on tablets and smartphones, flexibility in form design, reducing errors and therefore reducing the cost incurred by those errors, transparent data collection, and allows us to assess digitized data in real time and adjust course if need be. In conclusion, the data explosion of the 21st century brings opportunities to make consequential impact to biodiversity management decisions. However, effective data management requires effective communication amongst diverse partners. And digital notebooks like Survey123 certainly shows promise in reducing data loss, increasing data transparency, and reducing the latency of global data delivery. Should you have any questions, please feel free to email me at jonathan.koch@usda.gov. I'd like to thank T.N. Lindsay and the undergraduate researchers in my lab for field and data support. I would also like to thank Dr. Katie Wolf and Dr. Lindsay Messenger at the USDA Partnership for Data Innovation in setting my lab up with Survey123 for field testing.